Yeah, right now.
Oh, did y'all turn it off up there? Good morning. Welcome to Marion High School. We are pleased to podium.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please remain standing as Marion High School freshman Brooke Zepeda sings our national anthem. Oh, see, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, there so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. You may be seated. We would like to begin our ceremony by extending our welcome to those of you in attendance today. Thank you to all of our students, parents, and family members for joining us. We would also like to thank the Marion ISD Board of Trustees and staff of Marion ISD in attendance this morning. Finally, we would like to welcome any local first responders of the surrounding areas. Before we move further into our program, we would like to express thanks to our students and faculty who have helped make this program possible. Our students involved in band, digital media, audio, video, courses, and various student organizations assisted with the preparation of this program. Those involved in floral design and art are responsible for the decorations and displays around the stadium. Our culinary arts program has set up our fallen comrade table. Our cheerleaders and dancers have helped welcome our guests to the ceremony today. Thank you to all of our Marion ISD programs who donated their time and skill to make today special for our guests. We appreciate all who have made this ceremony possible. Thank you. I would now like to welcome Ms. Hawthorne, Academic Dean, for opening remarks.
When Veterans Day began, it was originally called Armistice Day. It was designed to honor and celebrate the peace brought by the end of World War I. In the 1950s, it became Veterans Day, a day where we stop to honor those who have served our country. For where would the peace and liberty of our nation be were it not for the men and women who have faithfully served? During World War II, just before the troops marched out on D-Day, President Eisenhower messaged them with these comments: "The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. G.K. Chesterton wrote, "The true soldier fights not because he hates what's in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him." So to the veterans of the Marion community and our extended community, you are our most honored guest this afternoon. We are grateful for your service to our nation. We welcome you, and we are honored by your presence with us today. The Marion Middle School Band will now play the American Declaration.
From Valley Forge. From Valley Forge to Vietnam. From Kuwait to Kandahar. From Berlin to Baghdad. These patriots have borne the cost of our nation's wars. Like other things of great value, our freedom did not come cheaply. Part of the cost has already been paid by Americans who answered the call to military duty. Their selfless service has made our nation strong and our world a better place. Freedom is not free. The American Revolution, 4,435 killed in battle, 6,188 wounded. Freedom is not free. The Civil War, 214,938 killed in battle, 285,000 wounded. Freedom is not free. World War I, 953,402 killed in battle, 204,000 wounded. Freedom is not free. World War II, 219,557 killed in battle, 671,846 wounded. Freedom is not free. The Korean War, 33,686 killed in battle, 103,284 wounded. Freedom is not free. The Vietnam War, 47,410 killed in battle, 153,303 wounded. Freedom is not free. The Gulf War, 147 killed in battle, 467 wounded. Freedom is not free. The War on Terror and Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom, 137,300 killed in battle, 52,369 wounded. Freedom is not free. We owe our surviving veterans a place of honor. Some need our country's help to readjust, to recover from the mental and physical wounds of war. Most ask for nothing in repayment for their sacrifices. Let us continue to help those veterans in need with the utmost compassion and gratitude. To the rest, let us pay tribute on this day by recognizing their achievements and joining them in the resolve to keep our beautiful country strong and free.
It is my pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. Tracy Sarmiento. Dr. Tracy Sarmiento, U.S. Air Force retired, is the Senior Director for Cybersecurity, Architecture, and Engineering at Kenvue, a global leader in consumer health. In this role, she leads a team of product owners, engineers, and analysts to design and implement a robust architecture to secure users, applications, and data across a hybrid cloud network and operational technology landscape around the globe. Tracy is a 22-year veteran of the United States Air Force, where she served on active duty as a cyberspace operator, as well as a professor and deputy department head at the United States Air Force Academy. She grew up in Syracuse, New York, and was commissioned in 2000 through the Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps program and upon graduation from Clarkson University, Potsdam, New York. She holds a Doctor of Philosophy degree in the field of computer science from the Texas A&M University, with research conducted in robotics and autonomy, as well as a Master of Science degree in computer engineering with concentrations in artificial intelligence and high-performance parallel computing from the Air Force Institute of Technology at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. Tracy is the mother of 2 current Marion Bulldogs. Please welcome Dr. Sarmiento to the podium.
Thank you so much, Principal Johnston, for that kind introduction. Good morning to everyone. Dr. Beck, teachers, faculty, coaches, parents, fellow veterans, members of this wonderful community, and the future of our nation, the young men and women in the crowd. It is a profound honor to stand before you today on Veterans Day, a day when we pause to reflect on courage, sacrifice, and what it really means to serve something greater than ourselves. I am Tracy Sarmiento, a proud veteran of the United States Air Force, where I served over 22 years on active duty as a cyberspace operations officer. I was commissioned through the Reserve Officer Training Corps, as mentioned in my bio, but more importantly, I'm here today because I'm the mother of 2 current Marion Bulldogs. Cyberspace operations is a fancy way of saying my role in defending our nation wasn't with missiles and jets, but rather with ones and zeros, leveraging technology and networks to protect and defend. And today, Veterans Day, is a birthday party for peace. As mentioned in the opening, it originated as Armistice Day, and Armistice means to stop fighting. The day marked the end of the War to End All Wars, World War I, where over 116,000 Americans lost their lives in service to our country. And the armistice began at the 11th hour of the 11th day on the 11th month in 1918. It was a day dedicated to the cause of world peace. Decades later, in 1954, under President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Congress broadened that focus, rededicating November 11th as Veterans Day, a formal tribute to all American veterans of all wars, of which we're honoring an estimated 18 million veterans living today. Going back to your knowledge of history, think about that timeline. The Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1783, farmers with muskets, really squirrel rifles, determined they were done with kings and created a nation. The Civil War, 1861 to 1865, brothers fought brothers to end slavery, freeing approximately 4 million enslaved people and preserving the Union. World War II, 1939 to 1945, with the U.S. entering in 1941. Your great-grandparents stormed the beaches of Normandy, flew the hump over the Himalayas and B-17s over Berlin, and they cracked the Enigma code, shortening the war an estimated 2 years. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, teenagers fought in harsh conditions in the Korean hills to keep communism from marching south. It's a powerful story of evolving purpose, and every era demanded something different. But the constant was this: ordinary Americans became extraordinary because they chose to serve. One of the greatest myths about military service is that it's all about conflict. While we train to defend our nation at all costs, the heart of service is about deterring and preventing conflict, preserving peace, and building a better world. It's not all soldiers on the front lines, fighter jets in the sky, and aircraft carriers around the globe. In today's world, the battlefield looks different, but the mission is the same: keep America the land of the free because of the brave. The military of today offers opportunities that previous generations could only dream about. It's a place of cutting-edge technology, global operations, and unmatched educational benefits. Whether your passion is in engineering, medicine, mechanics, logistics, intelligence, space operations, cybersecurity, or something else, there's a place for you to excel and become part of something that's far bigger. A legacy that stretches back more than a century. A legacy of women and men who have defended freedom, often quietly, sometimes at great cost, but always with honor. And service isn't just about what you give, but it's also about what you gain. You gain discipline you didn't know you had. You gain a global perspective. You gain a chosen family that will stand by you for the rest of your life. And you gain a deep personal understanding of the very freedoms that we're celebrating today. ROTC was my bridge. I walked onto a college campus naive to all of what I just mentioned, thinking I'd learn a little bit about computers through earning an engineering degree. Then I joined the Air Force to complete my 4-year scholarship payback, but ultimately, I stayed for over 22 years on the very best roller coaster ride I've ever ridden. Now, while the military will ask everything of you, the truth is that for most, including me, it gives you more than you can imagine. You'll learn about leadership, teamwork, and accountability, how to push through challenges when you didn't believe you had the strength to persevere, and you'll find purpose. I was commissioned way back on May 13th, 2000 at Clarkson University in Potsdam, New York. And my first assignment in the Air Force was to the 5th Combat Communications Group at Robins Air Force Base in Warner Robins, Georgia. Combat Comm is the Air Force's expeditionary communications, meaning the unit would arrive to set up operations on a bare airfield shortly after it had been secured. As a brand new second lieutenant, I found myself with the role of engineering the site designed to ensure basic airfield operations so that we could land planes. And while initially we were simply exercising this ability in remote locations around the state of Georgia, not much more than a year after I joined the Air Force, the September 11th terrorist attacks occurred, and we activated for real-world operations to provide support to combat air patrols over the District of Columbia and New York City, and deployed for operations overseas. Because on that day, while the skies emptied of airplanes, the networks were filled with chatter. And as President Bush addressed the nation in his State of the Union speech in late September of 2001, he stated, "Americans should not expect one battle, but a lengthy campaign, unlike any other we have ever seen." And with that, we were plunged into the global war on terror that would last over 2 decades, define the service of my generation, and require us not only to protect the country in traditional domains like land, air, sea, and space, but also in cyberspace. The role of cybersecurity is near and dear to my heart, and it isn't about just protecting the military, but also hospitals, schools, elections, our critical infrastructure, and the list goes on. And every day, women and men in uniform are standing guard over that invisible front line, defending against Russian hackers that are probing our power grids, and Iranian botnets flooding DoD networks, investigating why Chinese satellites are blinking in ways they shouldn't, supporting Ukraine with hunt-forward operations, and conducting offensive cyber operations to defend our national interests, disrupt enemy activity, collect intelligence, and achieve effects in the digital domain. Veterans bring valuable skills and expertise, and when you look at the veterans in the room today, you see a mosaic of stories and experiences. Yet we all share a common bond. We raised our right hand and swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We protected an ideal, the ideal of a nation built on liberty, democracy, and freedom. That oath is a powerful, life-altering commitment. Some of you are thinking right now, cool story, Eva and Lincoln's mom. but I'm planning to go to Texas Tech, Texas State Technical College, or I'm going to become TikTok famous. Well, maybe. Some of you might do that. But service in the form of the armed forces will provide you unique opportunities, and you won't find those on other paths. You will travel. I've eaten lamb shish kebabs on the shores of the Mediterranean in Turkey, chased down camel spiders in a side-by-side in Qatar in the desert, and stared down at the Air Force Academy campus from 9,400 feet high on Eagles Peak. You'll gain skills that will always pay the bills. US-based companies and federal government are always looking for civilians with a clearance, along with leadership and technical skills. This is especially true in the field of cybersecurity, so whether you spend 4 years or 20, you're marketable for jobs that can't be outsourced. You'll build leadership and confidence at warp speed. At just 24, I was responsible for the training and equipping of dozens of airmen in preparation for their real-world deployments. You'll gain purpose. You might be involved in humanitarian missions, like the COVID vaccine airlifts, the rescue operations that occurred following Hurricane Katrina, and more recently and closer to home, the Guadalupe River floods, and the annual Operation Christmas Drop in support of bringing supplies to remote Pacific islands. You'll have many opportunities to continue your education, from the Air Force and Navy's community college to tuition assistance programs to the GI Bill, which can also be transferred to your dependents. Opportunities abound. So you're sold right now, right? But there are 5 services, so how are you going to choose which one? So I'm going to give you my 60-second shopping guide here. So the Army, right? Boots on the ground, tanks, medics, helicopters, engineers. If you like mud and grit, this would be your home. The Navy, ships, submarines, some of them nuclear-powered, carrier aviation. Sailors see ports that civilians only see on a postcard. See the world, then see it again from the flight deck. The Marines, they're the tip of the spear. First to fight. Their slogan is Semper Fi, which means always faithful. They're the smallest branch, but with the biggest heart. The Air Force, my tribe. Fast jets, drones, satellites, cybersecurity, the most technologically advanced service in the world. We own the sky and the Wi-Fi. Space Force, it's real. Satellites, missile warning systems, GPS. Our guardians keep the ultimate high ground. And the Coast Guard, search and rescue, drug interdiction, port security. Rescue swimmers pluck fishermen from 20-foot waves, heroes in orange helicopters. And every branch has ROTC, except for the Coast Guard. They call it the College Student Pre-Commissioning Initiative, had to go out on their own there. And they all have service academies for officers and many enlisted paths to service. Talk to a recruiter, but more importantly, talk to a veteran. Ask questions, learn their stories, understand their motivations. See if that spark, that call to something greater than yourself is within you too. For me, standing at attention while the national anthem was sung today, way to go, Brooke, that was amazing. Wherever you are, you're on this side of me. It still brings goosebumps. Because while I'm saluting the flag, more importantly, I'm also saluting the past. I'm saluting a 32-year-old Texan named Jimmy Doolittle, who volunteered to lead a mission that was so crazy, it hadn't been named yet as our Pacific Fleet was burning in Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. 4 months later, 16 B-25 bombers were modified to be launched from the deck of the USS Hornet, something Navy experts said was impossible. They reached Tokyo, proving Japan was vulnerable. I'm saluting a young John McCain who was shot down in 1967 over Hanoi and ultimately spent until 1973 as a prisoner of war in what came to be known as the Hanoi Hilton, refusing early release to avoid preferential treatment as he adhered to the military's first in, first out code of conduct. I salute Senior Airman Jason Cunningham, a pararescueman whose helicopter was hit in Afghanistan in 2002. He dragged wounded Army Rangers to safety under fire, ultimately saving 10 lives. He was awarded the Air Force Cross posthumously. And I salute the future. As I look out at this crowd and I wonder, which of you will develop our next generation technologies like hypersonic missiles, agentic AI, unmanned undersea vehicles, or the newest air dominance platform, the Boeing F-47? And although I've spoken at length today about service in the military, please note that service comes in many forms. Your teachers, firefighters, nurses, police officers, volunteers, they all serve. Even out of uniform, you can still live by the same Air Force core values of integrity, service, and excellence. Because America depends not just on the people who fight for freedom, but also on the citizens who cherish it. On this Veterans Day, we honor the past, we appreciate the present sacrifices, and we look to the future leaders who are with us today. Thank you all for spending your time with me, and to the students for being the future we continue to fight for. And I ask, which of you will write a story that outlives you? So in closing, may God bless each of you, your families, our veterans, and the United States of America.
Each branch of the U.S. Armed Forces maintains its own military marching band to inspire troops and preserve tradition. Though they now serve ceremonial functions, these bands were once an integral element on the battlefield. To increase the morale and courage of the men, bands would march in front of formations as they entered battle. Yet, as the number of musicians dwindled, commanders delegated marching bands to the rear of the formation, behind the combat-ready troops. Today, bands are no longer involved in armed conflict, but continue to inspire troops through song or hymn that represent the individual histories and traditions of America's armed forces. At this time, we will recite a bit of history of the service songs and play each military branch's song. Veterans and active duty soldiers who are attending today's ceremony, please stand when your service's song is played. The U.S. Army.
U.S. Army. The Army goes rolling along. Before the Caisson song was adopted as the official tune of the U.S. Army, it was the proud anthem of the U.S. Field Artillery Corps. During a long march in the Philippines, Lieutenant Edmund L. Snitz Gruber overheard an officer roar, "Come on, keep 'em rolling." Fellow soldiers helped Gruber with the lyrics, and in almost no time, all 6 regiments of the U.S. Field Artillery had been adopted. The Caisson song as a popular marching tune. During the last days of World War I, senior artillery leaders wanted to make the Caisson song official, and mistaking the piece as a composed during the Civil War, allowed bandmaster John Philip Sosa to incorporate most of the song into his own composition, the U.S. Field Artillery March. Discovering Gruber actually wrote the melody, an embarrassed but innocent Sosa made certain Gruber received his royalties. H.W. Arberg arranged the U.S. Army song, renaming it "The Army Goes Rolling Along." The U.S. Marine Corps.
The U.S. Marine Corps, the Marines' Hymn. An unlikely venue hosted the debut of a tune many now associate with the Marines' Hymn. In the city of Paris, France, Jacques Offenbach wrote and conducted opera, and most believe the melody of the Marines' Hymn was, in fact, taken from one of Offenbach's operas. His tune was morphed to fit the now famous lines from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. According to tradition, an officer wrote the first verse of the hymn on duty in the Mexican War. meant to highlight the various campaigns of the Marines. The unknown author edited the words from the Marines' colors and added them to Offenbach's melody. Continuing the custom, every campaign the Marines participate in gives birth to a new unofficial verse. The U.S. Navy.
In an attempt to write a catchy tune to rally the Naval Academy's football team, Anchors Aweigh was born. Lieutenant Charles A. Zimmerman, the U.S. Navy bandmaster from 1887 to 1916, started the practice of composing a march for each graduating class. However, none of these tunes really caught on. In 1906, Zimmerman was approached by midshipman Alfred Hart Miles to write a piece of music that would be inspiring, one with swing to it so it could be used as a football marching song, and one that would live forever. Together, Zimmerman and Hart composed the tune and lyrics that became Anchors Aweigh, dedicated to the class of 1907. The new fight song indeed propelled Navy to win that year over Army. The march was subsequently adopted as the official Navy song and continues to inspire classes of Naval Academy midshipmen. The U.S. Air Force.
In 1938, the Army Air Corps decided they needed an official song. Liberty Magazine sponsored a contest whereby 757 scores were submitted. Of those, one, written by Robert Crawford, was selected by a committee of Air Corps wives and officially introduced at the Cleveland Air Races in 1939. Crawford himself sang it in its first public performance. When the Army Air Corps became a separate branch of the military in 1947, Crawford's march changed names from the Army Air Corps to the U.S. Air Force. Since that time, the first line of "Nothing will stop the U.S. Air Force" became a motto and tradition. The U.S. Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard's motto of Semper Paratus, or Always Ready, was officially recognized in 1910 and thenceforth appeared on the ensign. In 1922, Captain Francis S. Van Boskirk was inspired to write an official U.S. Coast Guard song that would rival Anchors Aweigh or the Caisson song. 5 years later, while stationed in the Aleutian Islands, Boskert composed the accompanying music on a dilapidated old piano in Unalaska, Alaska. The geographically diverse origins of this piece are fittingly illustrated in the song's first line, from Aztec shore to Arctic zone to Europe and Far East. Semper Paratus remains the proud standard and song of the United States Coast Guard, the U.S. Space Force.
The U.S. Space Force, established in December 2019, is the military branch responsible for organizing, training, and equipping personnel to protect U.S. and allied interests in space. Its mission includes ensuring freedom of operation in space, deterring aggression, and conducting space operations to enhance national security. As the first new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces since 1947, it reflects the growing importance of space as a strategic domain. The U.S. Space Force has its official song titled Semper Supra. The song emphasizes the branch's commitment to protecting U.S. interests in space and its mission of ensuring freedom of operation in that domain. The title translates to Always Above, reflecting the Space Force's focus on air and space superiority.
As you enter the stadium, you may have noticed a special table on the track. It is reserved to honor our missing men. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life of the missing and their loved ones and friends of these Americans who keep the faith, awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon and a symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who long for answers. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast. The chair is empty. They are missing.
At this time, students and guests, please stand and honor our fallen soldiers as Taps is being played. At the conclusion of Taps, please join us in the singing Amazing Grace to close out our ceremony.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed.
Thank you for coming out today, and thank you to all our veterans for your service.
Again, thank you all so much for coming out today. We hope you have a great day. Students, you need to report back to class.